Good morning. It's Mike Zschunke at Berkshire Hathaway Homes and Troon Properties in Scottsdale, Arizona. Friday morning market chat live. We're going to talk about residential. We're going to talk about commercial. We're going to talk about the economy. And then if we have time, we may touch on the affordability narrative without, we might touch on that. I don't know. Anyway, inventory. We'll start with inventory. Single family detached homes. Down just slightly. Scottsdale, I think we lost 8 single-family detached homes, down to 1,389. Maricopa County, a little bit more. But as homes are coming on the market, homes are going right off the market. And we've had a super busy week, accepting a couple offers and making a couple offers. So today's a lot of negotiating. You accept the offer, then you get the negotiation. 3 points of negotiation. The initial offer, the inspection, which I never put a lot of weight in. Did you know the Arizona residential real estate contract is an as-is contract? So there's not a whole lot of negotiation. It's more just the inspections, making sure that everything, all the big stuff's taken care of. And so we had a busy week. It's been fun. I like this part once the process gets going. Residential, we're starting to see that list price to sale price, that gap, remember we had about 94% sale price to list price for a while. We're about 98% across Maricopa County now. Scottsdale, there's not a whole lot of negotiation. There's negotiation happening, but the houses that are coming back on the market that we took off earlier in the year, I feel like they're coming on at a better price. And there's still not enough inventory. We are still short. We're about 4 months inventory in Scottsdale. But October single family sales was higher. It was 6% higher than October of last year. So October was a good month. New contracts for single family detached homes, 1 to 2 million is kind of our bread and butter. It's up 47% over this last week for the last year, the same week last year, this past week. And over 2 million is up 58%. 58% more homes under contract than the same week in October 2024. That's big. People aren't afraid. These people are starting to settle in. This is the new norm. This is kind of where we are. List price per square foot over $1.5 million. Increased about 5% in just the past 2 months. And again, that just goes back to supply and demand. There's a lot of people. We're coming into the hot season. We do have the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Kind of a funny market, but the people that are here are serious buyers. So if you're, I always say you never know what tomorrow brings. If you want to list your house in January when everybody else is planning on it, I would do it now. Get ahead of it. People are smart enough. They know that if it's been on through the holidays, it's a little bit quiet. But serious buyers are here. Grab them now. I just saw yesterday, somebody posted Scottsdale is one of the top 5 places to be for Thanksgiving. And it is. It's beautiful. It's sunny and 65 degrees. So we've had Thanksgiving dinner outside. We've had Thanksgiving dinner inside a few years. So people are here and they just enjoy the weather. So I posted the other day, some of you saw a real neat house a friend of ours listed in Gilbert, $20 million. Now I hesitated to post anything about it. I do these live. I want you to, see who I am. I'm an open book. I don't sell $20 million houses, but I noticed a lot of people were posting about it. I would love to. I'd love this. If you want to buy a $20 million house or sell it, we can help you. But did you know that in the history of Arizona, there's only been 12 homes, 12, state of Arizona, forever, back to day one. Only 12 homes have sold over $20 million. And those 12 homes, it's been 7 agents. So when you see people on these TikToks and things dancing around, looking like they sell $20 million houses, they probably don't. I can tell you the 7 names of the people that have sold homes over $20 million. The 10 million starts opening up again. But the bread and butter for most people is Scottsdale's the $1 million to $5 million. And that's kind of where we stick. But anyway, it was a super cool house. If you are looking for that, it's a perfect house for Monster Energy or Red Bull or a big corporate to buy. There's a lot of fun stuff in that house. I've never seen it packed into 4 acres. So happy to help you with that. I always say it's the same paperwork as a $200,000 house. It doesn't matter. And that's why we do these lives. We focus on the relationship. Are you going to let me do my job that I do every day, or are you going to read on ChatGPT what the market's doing and things and come up and read online how to do it? If that's what you want to do, that's great. I can't help you. But if you want to hire me for my expertise, happy to help. I do it every day. And just kind of funny. It was a great house. Great. Don't get me wrong. Great house. Friend called me a few months ago. An agent told him he can sell his house for $30 million. There's been 2 houses in the history of Arizona that have sold for over $30 million, and that guy is not one of them. So anyway, just know who you're doing business with. Really do your homework. Like we accepted an offer on a property. I investigated these buyers pretty well. They're well qualified. They're going to buy. They're going to close. And remember, when you're accepting an offer on a property, it's not always the highest price. It's who's going to get it to the closing table. And that only comes from experience. And that's kind of where we shine. Let's see, what else? This week, talking about 50-year mortgages, everybody's talking about. And portable mortgages, taking your 2% mortgage with you. You know, I don't necessarily think those are great ideas. Every deal is different. Maybe it does work for somebody. It doesn't save you enough money. But you know what it does do? We are talking about opening up this housing market. You know, I speak to a lot of elderly people lately. I don't know why that's God is bringing them to me, but that's maybe because I can help them. But they're stuck in their house. They have their 5,000 square foot house that they've owned for 20 years. They can't afford to sell it. And, you know, sometimes it's just better to stay in the house. But of course, set it up, have your trust and everything set up. Maybe sometimes it's better to stay in that house, but we have to learn inventory is low. We have to figure out how to free that up. If it's 50-year mortgages, which I don't think is going to happen, or portable mortgages, maybe that's it. But I don't think those are going to happen. I don't think it's a great idea, but maybe it is. At least we're having that conversation to free up the housing market. And that's great. So anyway, I don't know. Commercial state land department meeting yesterday. Very interesting. You know, the state of Arizona owns a bunch of raw land. They have a bunch, and they bring it to auction. Actually, if you want to purchase a piece of state Arizona land, you submit an application, and that application then gets approved or denied, and then that has to go to a public auction. State of Arizona uses that to fund the schools and some other things too. But it's pretty good. They've got a pretty good bank of land there. But interesting, a lot of the applications at the State Land Trust meeting yesterday were energy companies. And fittingly so. We had a lot of data centers coming on the outskirts of the valley. We need to figure out how to supply those. Somebody on CNBC was just talking about it's not building the data centers, it's powering the data centers. What do they say? Power is the new water in Arizona. You know, there's plenty of water, it's just getting access to it. But anyway, Mesa, there was a land lease renewed, which I never knew. What I love about my job on the commercial side, there's a ton I've always been interested, how did people make their money? There's a large ammunition company that leases land in Mesa. Nammo, I think it is. They're the biggest builder of rocket launchers and large ammunition. I never knew they were in the area. They're a worldwide giant company. But they just renewed 500-acre land lease out on the other side of Mesa. So that's kind of fun to see stuff like that. Solar farms, leasing a lot of solar farms to land. I don't know if you've driven to California, between California and Phoenix lately. It's miles of solar farms. So whether they're connected or not, or I don't know if they actually work, but they've got a lot of land leases, and the state makes a killing on those leases. So I'm all for it. Go ahead, you know. But anyway, went to Fountain Hills last night. Friend of ours purchased back in September, Fountain Hills adopted a new downtown overlay policy. They want to promote mixed use in the downtown area by the fountain. Office and retail downstairs, residential upstairs. So a buddy of mine, he purchased an office building, transformed it into 12 residential apartment units, getting $2,000 a month for the apartments. If you need a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment in Fountain Hills, let me know. I'll put you in touch with him. But brilliant. He's going to make a killing. I know he didn't pay much for the office building. Who wants an office building in downtown Fountain Hills? It's more of I like Fountain Hills. Some people say it's too far. I think it's a nice community. But anyway, just thinking out of the box. Bought the office building, turned it into 12 residential units. He's going to do very well with that. Even if he doesn't carry it and rent out the units, he can sell that building now for double what he bought it for. So it's just thinking out of the box on the commercial side. I love that. I love that stuff. Scottsdale Air Park is hot. We went to Scottsdale master plan meeting last night. There's a lot going on. Scottsdale Airport is one of the more respected, busier, small airports of its size. I'm not a pilot, so I don't know. I did work with my father leasing ground equipment for a little while. But Scottsdale Airport is a terrific asset for the community. And it's kind of landlocked. Everything around it is old buildings, old industrial. So if I were looking to, just get your funding, get some big investors, buy a warehouse. There's not enough support businesses around Scottsdale Airport right there. And the office buildings are getting some big numbers, some of the biggest numbers in the state. So it's always interesting. It's always fun hanging out in a airport hangar. It's something different. I like that stuff. But commercial side, the most important part is to do your due diligence. There's a few different ways to value it. Cap rate's kind of just a thing that sits out there. Look at history, dollar per square foot of similar buildings. Cap rate, when you buy an investment commercial property, a warehouse or a strip center, a strip mall, you want to see how can you get into that building and how can you improve the rents? How can you improve the building, increase the value of the building? And that's where you're going to make your money. It's not always advertised cap rate, and just take what you see in the cap rates and the OMs and things like that with a grain of salt, because you can go on ChatGPT and make up a pro forma now and it looks pretty real. So do your homework, and that's like anything. There's a lot of false stuff online. Just make sure you have some experience, know what you're doing. I read this morning, a guy in California, kind of a friend. He's a Twitter friend, I guess you call him. He is getting held up in permitting, and that's what holds up a lot of people that aren't experienced in real estate and investing. You do very well in real estate, and there's some things you just can't be taught. It's just from experience, knowing the right questions to ask, and that commercial aspect of it, that goes over into the residential for us. You look at things kind of from a bigger picture, and you know the questions to ask. That's kind of where we shine. Jeff Bezos started an investment company. You can now invest in single-family residential property. By the way, BlackRock. What's spam? So anyway, that was spam. Jeff Bezos started an investment company. You can buy single-family residential homes for about $100, I think it starts at. The only problem is then those shares become tradable. Are you going to be trading an asset or a commodity that's worth more than the asset? Is that going to be a problem down the road? I don't know, but I like this out-of-the-box thinking. I love that stuff. So the economy. We've got the government reopened, and Treasury Secretary just announced we're going to start getting some real data numbers. You'll see the bond market. People think the economy is the stock market. I don't think the economy is the stock market. I think it's more of the bond market, the fixed income, the more stable. But I'm old and pretty conservative on that. Treasury Secretary said we're going to start getting some new data numbers coming out. They're going to start releasing them as the month goes on, get more and more. And the bond market's been in a pretty tight range just because there has been no data, kind of speculative. We had a 30-year bond auction yesterday. Remember, the Federal Reserve or the U.S. Treasury issues bonds, T-bills, and things like that to raise money to pay their expenses. Had a pretty weak 30-year bond auction yesterday, actually the weakest since August. But that's just because there's no data to share. So the bond market's there's no guarantee of a Fed funds rate cut the next meeting. So rates are kind of where they are. Very tight range. 10 years about 4.1 this morning. Did shoot up a little bit yesterday afternoon. But, it's not enough to swing. I will say that I believe that liquidity should start loosening up. Remember, it's not all about rate on the economy when you're financing things. It's access to that rate, the bank's access to give loans, the lender's ability, your mortgage broker, their ability to give loans to people to use to invest in their business or other businesses or housing. I think December we're going to have some loosening up in liquidity. There's some local housing analysts that talk about the bond market and the economy. They kind of miss out a lot on things. They talk about quantitative tightening. Well, the Fed is they are shrinking their balance sheet a little bit for now, just for the next few weeks. They're letting the mortgage-backed securities roll off the balance sheet. That's going to tighten things up a little bit, but then they're going to replace them as they roll off. I don't know if this really makes sense. Then they're going to roll off. They're going to replace those with short-term treasuries. That's going to free up lending and liquidity. Rates probably stay the same, may put a little bit of pressure as there's more supply out there. Then the prices go down, rates tend to go up. Bond prices, remember, there's that inverse relationship. It gets complicated. We could do a whole day talk on the bond prices. But anyway, there should see some more liquidity coming up in December, whether there's a rate cut or not. It's, you and I, we don't really handle that a whole lot. So anyway, just want to mention, money, back to that 20 million. Money doesn't impress me. Like I said, I used to have coffee with Ray Dalio every morning. Actually, fun story real quick. I interviewed with George Soros at his desk. You would have thought he was a homeless person. Thank God I didn't get that job. It was the scariest man. I was a stupid 20-year-old some kid then, but sitting at George Soros's desk was pretty intimidating at that time. But just a normal person. Ray's a great guy, a normal person. Haven't talked to him in a long time, but money doesn't impress me. The $500,000 home, we've got a listing coming up now in Phoenix, Glendale area. It's $400,000. It's more if you and I can connect. Can we talk? You're going to let me do my job. I'm going to let you do your job. Just be honest and truthful back and forth. Can we connect? And it's all about people. Doesn't matter if you're looking at a $5 million property, a $50 million property. Well, those have teams of people working on them. Or $500,000 property. It's can we connect and can we talk? And can I help get you to where your goals, get you where you want to be? Real quick, just want to touch on the housing affordability narrative. I'm not really buying into it. I don't know how to say this without sounding like I don't want to say douchebag online, but I guess I just did. But, it's buying that first house. We don't work with a lot of first-time home buyers. I just don't. It's not my market. It's not my crowd. I'm happy to. I love to. There's no better feeling than getting somebody into that first home, but it's never been easy buying that first home. It's never, call me a boomer. I'm not a boomer yet. I would love to be. I can't wait till I'm 60, 70 years old. But, there's a perception, and I see it in the younger generation too. And I'm probably going to get a lot of bad feedback here. They all want the shiny new Instagram 3-4 bedroom house, 3-4 bathrooms. I grew up, I think until I went college, we had one full bathroom in the house. I had to share a room with my brother. Actually, at one point, we had a line down the middle of me and my brother's bedroom. I had to run down the hall as a little kid. I had to jump over his side of the room to get to my room, which was spotless, by the way, and his was a mess. But, the perception, get into the house that you can afford. Whether you have to commute 30 miles, 60 miles, just get into the house. It's not going to be the perfect house. You're not going to be there forever. There are $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 houses out in Buckeye, down in South End Valley. There's, you're not going to get the beautiful 5-bedroom house, 5,000 square feet on 2 acres in Scottsdale as your first home. If you can, great. If you can afford to, that's great. But just stick to your budget. There's a lot of whining out there and complaining that I understand housing's expensive now. I understand that completely. But you've got the younger generation now. Everybody in the whole world has so much opportunity, more opportunity than ever has been in America. We've got this device in our pocket. You can start a business on this device. You can run a successful business all from your telephone. So there's a lot of opportunity. I remember as a kid, if I wanted a new pair of Vans or what were those shorts, I had to mow 2 lawns, go out and then ride my bike to the store and buy the pair of Vans. If I wanted an entry fee for a BMX race, I had to go mow a lawn. A snowstorm, that was a gold mine. So just get out there, make it happen, buy what you can afford. Like I said, I don't want to sound conceited or anything like that, but there's properties out there. I'm more than willing to help you. Give me a shout. Let's look at your budget, see what we can get you in. Like I said, I love working with younger couples. It's just not my client is the small business owner coming from out of state, wants a building for his business and a luxury home. That's kind of my bread and butter, just because that's who I relate to. But I'm happy to help wherever I can. So anyway, I don't sell anything. If I can help you buy, sell, facilitate, educate, and advise, anything to do with real estate, give me a shout. That was super long. Have a great day. Be smart, be safe, and I appreciate you watching. We'll talk to you soon. 203-733-5877. Bye.